Is it better now? So I repeat it. So my name is Babak Ashtiani. I'm a program manager with Microsoft Dynamics AX Service Industries R&D team. Thank you very much for the investments that you have made and make yourself available this week. I hope you are excited with the features that you have seen so far. Today we have a variety of different features on resource management in R3. Some of these features came out in CU7, so some of you might have seen. Some of the features are new in R3. So we're going to look at it all up as R3, and we're going to talk about that. So the agenda is a few slides. I'm going to spend most of my time on demos, but we will go through the highlights of what we have provided, what we haven't reached, and what are those key investments that we have made. But before I jump in right to the session, I want to ask a quick question. How many of you guys have already seen the features in resource management, R2 or CU7 or R3? Okay. How many of you have active implementations or important requirements right now related to resource management? Great. So I will be very happy to connect with you after the session to hear your thoughts, to hear the requirements, and how we can help you make it a success, hopefully. So quickly, we are going to go about what's resource management about, at least what's our vision about resource management. And like I said, we can make it a very interactive session, so please feel free to jump in, ask questions, or if you think something is different, please let us know. We are here really to hear from you. We are going to talk about different resource management approaches in different organizations, in different service industry organizations, and we will also highlight where we think AX is strong. Then we will focus on the feature sets and what we have improved and created a bunch of new features in R3. And then I will spend most of my time in demos. So I kind of readjusted the demos a little bit because Tom's session yesterday, in both sessions, Tom went through some of the demo material. So I'm going to focus on the areas that Tom has not basically addressed. And if there is a specific area that you like to drill in, we can always make adjustment and work on that. So let's make that kind of really interactive there. But what's resource management about? The first thing is, for any service organization, is keeping their resources utilized. Your people, your talent is the most important asset you have in a service industry organization. And you want to make sure they are well utilized and they are maintaining a healthy utilization. So for that, you need to first have a good visibility into capacity of your resources. Who is available, who is not available. If these resources in this resource group or in this area or in this category of work are not available, why they are not available. So visibility is key there to understand who is doing what and how resources are being consumed. The second thing really is that being able to identify the white spaces in resource availability. So like memory, like any other thing that you consume a resource or resources, people have these fragmented areas of assignment, right? There is a week that they don't have much to do. All of a sudden, there are 3 days that they are really busy. A resource management function could really improve that by kind of consolidating these white spaces and see whether you can substitute resources with other qualified resources that the quality of job is not compromised, but you have a better utilization. And you can get resources on jobs that really need that set of qualification or the role that is required. Tracking toward utilization KPIs, right? We keep hearing that in IT consulting, at least, there are these utilization KPIs that resource managers, sometimes practice managers, are being measured against. And those are important, basically. Being able to schedule resources on billable work. Again, billable work, that means you can bill the customer for, is very important in resource management. And at the end, it is skill gap analysis, right? If somebody has, if you don't have resources on bench that are not being utilized, as a service industry organization, you cannot basically sustain that for some time. So you need to understand what is the root cause. Are there specific skills that are missing, and why is that this resource or set of resources cannot be utilized on the jobs? The second, basically, bullet point talks about, again, one of the main functions of a resource manager or a practice manager or even a project manager, which is fulfilling resource requirements, right? Resource being human being or material or equipment. Really, if you look at resource as an abstract concept. It could be any of that. It could be human being, machines, equipments. So again, visibility into the demand. We often hear that resource managers are really surprised after the fact when a project is going and you need somebody by tomorrow. And here I have few hours to fulfill that, or few days to satisfy that resource requirements. That kind of reactive response, we are trying to manage it as much as possible. Initiate the need to hire resources. When a resource manager, again, I focus on resource management function. When you look at across your organization, look at opportunities that are coming, the likelihood of an opportunity to go, you can translate it into potential resource needs. Again, resource means people or machineries and equipments. It will be a good proactive approach to understand that, and then either make a call on using subcontractors if that's not an expertise that you want to build in your organization, you want to just outsource it to subcontractors, or you want to hire people. And being able to reach out to other pools of resources, right? Depending on the complexity and the size of organizations, you find organizations being organized by category of service they are delivering, like network services, IT consulting, software development, CRM implementations. It's good to have access to other pool of resources. So if you have exhausted your pool of resources and you don't have anybody available, how do you reach out to other pool of resources? Not all of these areas are the areas that right now we are very strong at. In some, we are very strong, and we are going to talk about that. But I just wanted to span and draw the big picture. And if there is something that you feel is missing, if there is a key area of resource management that is missing in this, please feel free to jump and talk about that. Again, when we look at different organizations, there seem to be three models of resource management. Centralized resource management, when it is a very controlled and focused environment, that there are one or many resource managers supporting different categories of work or regions, and requests for resources go to them, and they are in charge of finding qualified resources and make them available for project managers or the people that have requested those resources. We find the decentralized model, which you're free to grab any resource as long as they are available and they are qualified for the project that you want. And we have also found the hybrid model, which both of them basically are in place. So you do have resource or resource managers, and you let people book resources as they want. But if there is a conflict and same resource is requested by multiple projects, you definitely need that resource. Or there is nobody available, you reach out to a resource manager, and resource managers will satisfy the demand for you on your behalf, basically. So in AX, basically, we are very strong in decentralized resource management. So we have made significant investment in CU7 and R3 in building that. For first time, we are also entering into the criteria of centralized resource management, not fully but partially, by providing visibility into the demand that we are going to talk about, and enabling a resource manager to really look at the demand, look at the supply, and then make resourcing calls by assigning people to specific projects. Now we're going to drill down a little bit into what is coming in R3. Parts of these features or improvements have come in CU7 already, so some of you might have seen that. But these are really the key areas. Visual resource scheduling. We really built a panoramic view to resources and their availability. Resources have calendars. According to their calendars, you can calculate their availability. What's their capacity in a specific period of time? What are the work that they are being assigned to? And basically, we are visualizing the resource availability. That I'm going to show you, and we're going to spend quite some time on that and interact with that UI. The second thing is drill down into resource assignment. Okay, if I see resource A is blocked for a period of time, the next logical question is what this resource or resources are working on. Being able to drill down, find out the project and the project manager, and from there collaborate with the project manager and say, hey, can I get this resource? I need this project ABC, and I need people. The third thing is being able to pivot data differently, right? You can look at availability of resources in months, weeks, and days. Often you start with weeks or months, and then you drill down to specify in which day what a specific resource is doing. One view that we don't have right now is hour-based, meaning I want to look at what you're doing from 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. We don't have that yet. We have schema support for that, but we are not supporting it in the UI. Identifying overbooked resources. Well, overbooking is something that happens quite often in consulting businesses, right? People are working on multiple projects. Sometimes overbooking is not healthy. Sometimes it is healthy because you can work on multiple projects. Here we are providing a view into easily identifying the people that are overbooked and being able to drill down and find out why. And if those resources should be canceled or changed, you can easily do that as a resource manager. Resource conflict resolution. So the way we are supporting that is by encouraging collaboration. So we provide the contact that has the capacity of this resource booked, and you can basically reach out to that contact and solve the problem. Identifying the last bullet point here, which is identifying schedulable resources. In past, if you remember, in R2, it was the case that you have to go to workers in human resources. You have to find workers in this LE. You had to set a calendar for them, and they would show up as your schedulable resources. Now we have added this new feature that you can, in project management and accounting module, say, I want a new resource. Then you can browse the workers in HCM, choose the worker that you want, choose not only the calendar, but all other project management related stuff, like period codes that they want to report time against and all of that. You can specify that. So there is one complete view into your schedulable resources, human resources, and then setting parameters about that. The second area of investments that we really, again, made quite a lot of investment was intercompany resources scheduling. So it doesn't really matter where the resource is hired or which LE has the resource hired. What matters is that when we need resources, we can reach out to those resources from across the organization, from other LEs, as long as they have entered to this intercompany relationship. You can choose the workers, you will see the right sales prices for them, and you can book them on projects. Competency matching. So it used to be there before, but now we enriched it with role-based searching as well. So if you are looking for people that have specific skills, but you particularly want people that are senior developers or have been senior developers or senior technical consultants, we are now enabling that. And the concept of role that we have introduced is very fluid. We understand that people are working on multiple roles, play multiple roles, sometimes on different projects, sometimes in same project. So we have enabled role-based searching as well, so you can find qualified resources. We have also introduced the concept of project teams. So now you can form a project team by identifying qualified people that you want in the form of a role and skills and competencies that you need. Form your project team high level, or as we call top-down staffing, and then you do your detailed scheduling. In many cases, you want to secure your resources first, and then you do your detailed work scheduling, right? You want to secure specific resources. We have basically introduced that as well. Again, a new capability that we added is aligning schedule with resource assignment. Things change. So you schedule work to start next week, and you have people assigned to the work. What if the work gets rescheduled, or you pull the time? Now we automatically shrink the assignments to match that new start date and end date. We are not extending them, we are just shrinking them. So if the work is basically done sooner, it automatically releases the resources that are being assigned on the work. We enabled advanced filtering for resources. So we used to have, and we still have, organizations, like we have departments and organizations. So we are now introducing a simple way of filtering resources based on which LE they are hired at or which department they belong to. So if you're looking for resources in a specific department, you can do that. Or if you're looking for resources in a specific legal entity. Integration with timesheet. So if you schedule people, the next logical step is for people to go and report time. So if you go to your timesheet, now you can populate your timesheet automatically based on the work that is already being scheduled or assigned to you. So you don't need to manually enter that work again. It will automatically be populated for you. So we kind of have a cohesive set of features. Again, we introduced the flexible resource capacity allocation. So we have introduced a couple of models. One is full capacity. According to a resource calendar, when you book their full capacity on a project, again, according to their calendar, they are booked. If my day is Monday to Friday, 8 hours a day, I'm fully booked there. We also have introduced the concept of hour-based assignment. What if I want this resource, but just 10 hours of him, or 50 hours of him? We also introduced percentage of capacity, which we found very, very common in IT consulting. People work on different projects on different capacity, 50% here, 10% here. We have enabled that. And one other, I think, interesting feature, which I'm really looking forward, is to be able to form a resource pool for projects by booking resources against the entire project and then consuming that capacity that is booked against the project on activities, right? So if I can secure a resource for 2 months, then I go to the next level, which is detailed scheduling. I can start consuming that capacity. So technically, you should not be double booked if you have been secure for my project and now I'm scheduling you. But at the same time, we are very flexible. That if you want to go over that, we allow you, or you want to go under that. So that's something that we will go through through the demos and spend quite some time there. Automatic resources scheduling, again, the requirements we heard quite a lot is that in many cases, I have an activity and I want to just close my eyes and say, go schedule it for me. Give me a set of people, make me comfortable that I have people assigned. I might do tweaking later. I might remove a resource, add more resources. But at this stage, I just wanted to make sure I have secured my resources on this specific activity. So we have, and we still have the concept of soft and hard booking, which is tentative booking versus firm booking. If you are firm booked or hard booked, as we call it, your calendar is marked. Other people will see that you are busy on this project. If you are soft booked, you are tentatively booked. Still other people see you, but they can grab you easily. There is no problem. Tom spent quite some time, and at Keynote, we spent quite some time in Microsoft Project Client integration. So the aspects of it, if needed, that we are going to go through is the staffing, right? We understand Microsoft Project is one of the tool of choice when it comes to operational project planning. Now you can form your project in Microsoft Dynamics AX and consume those resources in Microsoft Project. You want to assign them to tasks and publish it back to AX. Again, if time allows, we are going to go through that. We are going to make it very fluid. We made one improvement or one new inquiry in R3, which basically, in a nutshell, shows the projects, how many hours have been booked. And think about booked, meaning capacity of resources against entire project, and how much of that booked hours is being consumed on the work breakdown structure of the project. It could be okay or not okay. If you have resources for 2,000 hours for example, 3 months, but just 10 hours of it is being assigned. It could be by design, or it would not be by design. We have provided that. And you can export it to Excel and make different pivots on the resourcing and why. What are those trouble, basically, areas? So before I jump into the demos, any questions? OK. So let's see whether we have better luck than yesterday. So here is the new resource availability UI that we have built. And I want to spend quite some time on that. There would be a little bit of lag. So this, I hope you guys can read it. But on the left-hand side, you will see the workers or resources, human resources that you have. And on the right-hand side, you will have a representation of their availability. So people that are marked green, for example, for next 6 weeks starting today, you will see them green. They don't have anything to do. You will see some people are partially booked, light blue, which means they have some assignments. You will see some people being marked as red, meaning they are overbooked. So in a nutshell, and it's a server side, right? You have visibility into availability of these resources across multiple projects in your organizations. So you can see who is doing what, and you can see their availability status. Now, for example, I can see that, as an example, Michael Patton is being overbooked. But why? So by a simple double click, we show you project or projects that have the capacity of this resource consumed. So if I can see the project manager is Julia, If I want to contact Julia, reach out to Julia and say, hey, why is this resource overbooked? Or can I have this resource back because I need him? I can do it right from here. If I want to basically, if I want to do more kind of a search based on a specific qualification, let's say in a fictional story, if you remember in Keynote, the story was about a marketing analyst that somebody reached out to the resource manager and said, hey, I need a marketing analyst. Let me search for a marketing analyst. So all I need is a marketing analyst that not only he knows marketing, I want him or her to know the AX as well, right? The bottom line is that they're going to talk about AX. We want to launch a product. So let me see who is available with this qualification. It seems that I have 2 people available. I can clearly see Armando Pinto is partially available. If you look into the first week of February, the 2nd to the 8th, Armando is not fully available. But I have been particularly asked that the resource must have played the role of a marketing manager in past 6 months. So that is crucial. It is about R3 launch. I want to make sure the resource have that qualification. So I will mark that and I say, yes, I want the resource to be to have played this role in past 6 months. Let's see how now, how would that turn out? Now I'm down to just 1 person. And that 1 person is partially booked on the project. Let me double click and see which project has him. Again, Julia has this resource booked. I have a good relationship with her. I can figure things out. Let me go and make Armando available on the project. And I have been asked to assign his full capacity. It is an R3 product launch. You can see any project that is not finished here, right? And you can see that right away this resource is being booked. So I found the resource I wanted, and now I go back to play a little bit more with this UI that we have spent some time on. Let me go back here. Now, as you can see, the qualifications are not just skills, right? If I go back here, there are more qualifications, right? I can go with the specific certifications that I need. If you're working in public sector or in construction segment, it's important for people to be certified. So you want to specify the certification, education, role, or even a specific projects that you want them to play, you can just find that. Or if you want to make use of legal entity or org hierarchy, right? So I created a very simple org hierarchy. If I want to look at people from Contoso, France, I can make use of it, and system will filter the resources in France, and right away will return to those people that are coming from France. And these people have already been lent to this LE that I'm in SUSB basically. If I go back and I say any legal entity, again, I will see the entire supply of people that I have at my hand to use. I can make use of departments, right? Now I can say people in a specific department. The system will filter them for me, and I can use them and assign them on projects. So you can see, or maybe you can't, but there is a number here, which has quite some meaning into it. And basically, when it is 100%, it means people, it's like required. All of these qualifications that I have expressed here are required. People that are returned must have all of those qualifications. So you can make calls on that. If you don't need that, you can say 0%. Meaning the people that are being returned to you, the higher on the list, the more qualified they are. But they are not filtered out if they don't have that qualification. So that's kind of a way of looking at it. Then you can change the time scale that this resource availability is being calculated. Days, weeks, and months, right? You can look at the availability in months, then weeks, then days, as you're basically trying to understand why a resource, for example, is not available. Now, I also want to see how much of available capacity I have. I can see in each week, I have 40 weeks for specific resources. For these people, for example, some of them are partially booked. If I go to the next page, you can see that some people are at capacity when you see 0, and some people are red, meaning they are even over capacity. that you can drill down, you can make some calls on some adjustments to make things happen. So if I go back again here, and we also talked about other assignment models, right? We talked about capacity percentage. So right from here, I can say I want this resource on a 50% capacity or on 10% capacity. I can book them on resources, on different projects. So just that was the first demo I wanted to show. One other feature I wanted to highlight here. Yes?
Regarding the percentage.
Do you mind? I have been asked if you can go to the speaker mic and ask your question so that the audience can, yes. Is the mic working? The mic?
Check.
Yes.
Does? Okay. For the percentage, I was wondering, wasn't there a system in HR where you can weigh your skills that you wanted to have?
Yes, the levels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Is it
yes.
applicable here as well?
Yes,
or?
We do a skill matching behind the scene, and we calculate a competency match based on what you have entered. But the level, you don't see it explicitly here. It's been calculated behind the scene, but you cannot say, I want people that are level 3 or 4. But among these criteria, we are weighting them. So the people that you're seeing matching the criteria that you have entered. So one good feature will be in future, we need to probably provide that as an option here as well. Okay, so I will go to the next resource screen, which is this screen. So this is not visual. This is simply shows you the schedulable workers that you have in your company. But there is a difference between the assignment model here and the assignment model in the previous screen. In previous screen, it's pretty open. You can grab resources and book them based on the start date and end date that you have selected on that graphical user interface. Here, it is completely bound by the project. So if I come here, for example, and I select Chen Yang, and I say I want to hard book Chen Yang, I will see a list of projects here. So if I select consulting, for example, I'm just booking Chen Yang on that project for the start date and end date of that project. So I'm bound by that project that I'm selecting. Just wanted to highlight the difference between these two. We also talked about the fact that you can add new resources here, right? So that is the other feature that we added in R3. Here I can go and I say, okay, I want, for example, Anahita to be here. And I really don't know whether Anahita is here or not. I can set her calendar, and then I can add her. Right away, I have a resource, right? You don't need to go to the human resources module, find the worker, and then add the calendar. So it's empowering the resource managers or service industry organizations to make right calls to grab resources that they need and then assign them on projects. Any other question before I go to the next? Yes?
What is feeding that table? Like, which employees are selected?
These are workers that are hired by the legal entity that you are in.
So it's all employees?
The picker, yes, is all workers in current LE. And the workers that have been lent to you. So there is this intercompany relationship that the loaning LE identifies the resources that can loan to other LEs. That will also show up in the worker dropdown here.
Can I ask a question?
Yes?
On the previous screen,
Yes.
Is this UI in the previous one, does it also extend to material resources, or is it isolated to workers?
Very good question. Unfortunately, it's not extended to material and equipments. That's in our long-term road to definitely get there. As we said, resources could be machines, people. What right now is just, yes. Right. But right now it's not.
in the previous screen, can you do a hard book and soft book from the previous screen?
Yes. So I bring it up. So are you talking about hard book and soft book at the same time, or?
Yeah. So if suppose, if I'm in the screen and I filter down to the worker that I want, can I, on a single click, book into my project?
You can, but you cannot hard and soft book at the same time.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, so let's do that. That's a very good, question. So I choose this worker for the entire period of time. Now, this UI is really pretty interactive. You can select, in this scenario, I'm selecting the entire time. I can select any cells I want, and cells do not need to be continuous. So you remember we talked about white spaces in resource availability. You can grab any white space or the area that you want and book them on a specific project. For example, let's go with that example. So if I want, as an example, Yochiro here, I want Boris here, and I want Barbara here. 3 non-continuous cells I'm selecting. I can go and, when I see my mouse, I can say their full capacity. Brings me the project. And now I will make them part of consulting project. In one go, I booked 3 different people in 3 different periods of time for a project. So really, it's a very interactive UI that you can make calls on it. And one thing I think I'm not sure I showed was that you can select these cells and say, now I want to look into what this resource is doing in this period of time. So it shows you, again, according to the time period that you have selected, it shows you what they're working on, basically. And sometimes we think we have introduced too much into this UI. So just let us know while you're using it. But it is pretty interactive. I mean, you can do quite a lot with just this UI. And yes, any other question about that? Yes. So it is calendar specific. So if the resource doesn't work on Monday, Tuesday, when you go to that day view, that's grayed out, meaning it's not a working day for that calendar. It's absolutely respecting resource calendar. Yes. You can, but it's a 2-step process. Can you please step to yes? The question was that, or I will repeat the question. The question was that, sorry. The question was that, can you substitute or replace resources? So the answer is you can, but not in one go. You have to release the resource and assign another resource. Another good feature that we have in our feature list, but we don't have it right now. It's a 2-step process. Yes? So that's a very good question. It's the other way around. By virtue of the fact that you're assigning people to projects, they are being added to the project validation groups. Therefore, they can report time and expense against that project. Yes. Yes. Automatically, yes. Yes. I will show you. Yes. Yes. So two-way. Either you're assigning it to a team, project team, or you're assigning to an activity. In both cases, we are adding the resource to the project validation group. Yeah. You had a question.
Is there any integration with the HR module?
So the question is there any? Yes, the question is there any integration with the HR module when it comes to vacation and absence, like time off, training? Unfortunately, not. So the way we are tracking out of office right now is with the project category, which cost price with sales price 0. Remains still the same in R3. Again, another feature in our feature list to tackle. We have quite a lot of more demos. Any other question on this specific UI? Okay. So do you find it useful as we talked about resource management and the key functions that you have? Do you find this UI useful? Yes. Okay. So go back. So we went through this demo. Tom talked quite a lot about code to project. So part of me wants to do this, which is code to project. But Tom went through that end-to-end yesterday in both sessions. Or we can go and form a project team for a specific project. Which one would be your preference? We form a project team, then use them on work breakdown structures and assign them to tasks, or you want to start in quotation, soft book resources, transfer the quotation into a project, and then continue from them. Which one would be your preference? The first one, forming project team on projects. Okay. So let's do that then. Let's go back to our project page. Continuing again on what we built yesterday. This is the R3 product launch project. If you remember, I added a team member here. As a resource manager, I booked a marketing analyst here. There, when I was doing it, I basically formed a team with one person. Now, I am the project manager, so I'm switching hat. I'm a project manager. I have a project. I want a staff. And I'm at the stage that I want to form my project team. OK, I got the marketing analyst I need. Perfect. But I also need a project manager, right? I need somebody to manage this project. So I select a project. These are basically data. Other than team member, which is the very last row that you're seeing there, all other roles are data. You create them. You instantiate them. You identify skills, certification, and education that you want as part of that. A senior developer in my organization might look different than the requirements that you have in your organization. So it's really data. You can define the role templates that you want. And here what I do is that I will say, OK, go find a qualified resource for me. I already told you that I need a project manager. Go find a qualified project manager for me. So in this case, for example, I can go and see, OK, I have some people partially booked. Let me see. I am really interested in Will. I have worked with Will in past. System will filter based on all the people that their name starts with Will, right? I can see William Kennedy is available. In our story, let's assume I want him. Let's go with a separate model, which is full capacity. I just went with full capacity. Let me close this. Now, I want to also add more people to my team. I'm securing my people. I need 2 salespeople. And I want to book them in one go. I don't want to do it one by one. So I enter 2 as the number of workers that I need. System goes and calculates for the projects, for the role start date and end date, the qualified people. Let's assume I want both of these guys. And I want either their entire capacity, or let's say their 100% capacity, or I would say 70% of their capacity booked on my project. I go back to my project team. So I have not yet even started my detailed scheduling. See what's happening here. I have 4 people in my team that I have booked them for a specific start date and end dates. And as you can see the hours booked. The difference between, I hope I had one of these laser. Is this a laser? Yes. OK, great. So this is our hours booked for each resource, and this is hours assigned. The primary difference between these two is that the people that are booked, their capacity is booked against the project. You have not yet assigned them to any tasks yet. It kind of provides a good view for you that I have people secured, but I have not assigned them to any task on the project. Right from here, you can drill down and see how you have them consumed, right? If I want to understand how their capacity is being consumed on this project, it shows me week by week, day by day, or month by month, how I am using them. One of the other good features that we don't have right now and we will build is also showing the activities that resources are being booked on. Right now, there is no activity, therefore we don't see it. Assume that I have secured my resources. I'm happy with my resources as is. Let me go to the next level of scheduling, which is detailed scheduling, right? So I think we have spent quite some time, past couple of days, on work breakdown structure. I'm not going to go through the enhancement. Huge investment has been made here. But for this fictional story, I have, and I know it's very hard to read from there, but imagine I have 3 activities here. There is dependencies defined simply between them. And I have also scheduled my work. But I don't have people specifically assigned to this task or these tasks. If I just click on the worker dropdown, you will see your team members populated here. So it kind of naturally gives you the first option that probably you want to use the people in your team. But you are not constrained to that. You can always say, view more workers here and see other people. So it's just think about it as a starting point that suggests the resources that you have. And effort plays a big role. In this scenario, I would say, OK, Armando I want to be on this project. Right away, you will see Armando assigned. And if you want to look at their detail assignment, just need to go down here, and it shows that his capacity is being equally distributed from start to end date, right? What we call this is blind booking, meaning, hey, I showed you a worker, you had some effort. I'm going to equally distribute his capacity from this start date to this end date. Let's see what happens on the project team now. Let's see, I'm done. I go back here. So again, I know it's hard to read from the back, but the marketing analyst, Armando, is booked for 245 hours, but he has assignment just for 20 hours. So a project manager or even a resource manager looking at it might be able, it might help them, right? Why? Why is the capacity not being fully scheduled? Could be healthy, it could be unhealthy, but that's an indication of whether you want that this way or not. Now, there are different models. So I try for each activity use a separate model. We talked about automatic scheduling, right? Well, I can go either select from the drop-down, I can select one or many resources, or I can sit back and say, you know what, system, go and find resources for me, which tells me that, hey, I'm going to go find qualified people. And then when it comes back, it has automatically satisfied the resource requirements for me with these two people that are qualified based on the requirements that I have defined on the activity and assign those two people on the activity. So I have my project fully staffed. Yes, absolutely.
How does it do the weighting? Suppose you have 10 workers that are
Yes.
to make sure that
Yes.
you
Yes. The first thing is skill matching, competency matching, factoring in skills, education, and certification, and then availability. The primary reason is that you want people to be qualified and then available. So that's how the algorithm basically is today. And I hope the question was loud enough, so I don't need to repeat it. Okay. So on the third model, although I can use any of them or a combination of all these resources, the other option that I have is, no, I want other people. I don't want these people. This task should be done by some other people. So again, the same panoramic view will open, but the only difference here is that you will see your team members being marked. Again, you're not enforced to use them, but it's just an indication that, hey, these people are in your team. Now, if I don't want to use them, that's pretty easy. I just go there and I say, you know what, I want these two people, and I want them to be fully booked on my project. Done. Let's go back. And you will see here that we have this concept of staffing status. It's fully staffed. If I go back, you can see that my project is fully staffed as well, right? So my project is fully staffed, and the definition of fully staffed is as long as you have all your activities staffed with resources, and any role that you have defined here has a resource associated with that, your project is fully staffed. Now, it could be partially staffed or not staffed at all. Any of those states are acceptable. Yes?
Can you somehow clear the hours book? Because now we put more hours than we actually need.
Yes.
Due to your work.
You can. There are two ways to do that. So one is that inquiry that I'm going to go through that shows you the project's booked hours and then assigned hours. The second one is completely manual. So right now we don't have really a really good way of identifying that book hours and just remove that, unless you go to week by week or day by day breakdown and say, I don't want you for this period of time. That's another awesome feature that we have thought about, and I think we should definitely build. How important is that from a functional view for you? It's very important, because you don't want people to be more than what needed. Okay. Yes, thank you.
Way up there. Does this integrate with CRM at all if we're entering hours in CRM? So can we use the same project number, or is there any?
There is no integration. From resource scheduling perspective, there is no integration. We do have an integration with CRM when it comes to quotation, which was the scenario that Tom went through. So you can start your quotation in CRM using products and pricing and tax calculation in AX, but not for resources. Yes, so we went through the detailed scheduling. I will go through another scenario, which is using Microsoft Project. This is the environment that I had to configure a few minutes before our meeting because my other VM really did not work well. So there might be some unexpected behaviors, but let's see what happens. So I'm opening up the same project that I just staffed in Microsoft Project. Assuming that Microsoft Project is the tool of choice for me, I want to look at my project plan and then do some staffing decisions there. As the project is being painted, you will see the Gantt chart is being populated with the people that you have already booked from AX, right? These are your AX workers that are now showing up in Microsoft Project. So you can see your Gantt chart. I don't want to go to anywhere. You can see your Gantt chart. You can see the people that you have. And you can also make some other adjustments here, right? I don't want Armando on this project anymore. You know what, Anahita, I don't want you either. And I'm going to publish it back to AX. So it's kind of really well integrated with AX. You choose your surface area, either AX or Microsoft Project. You do your staffing in any of those two, and then you publish them back to AX. So if I go to AX, under normal circumstances, you should see the staffing being taken place. So I go back, and if I go to the work breakdown structure, these are the people that I basically released from the activity. But one thing you saw was that those people are not being removed from the team. And that's something I want to validate basically with you today, regardless whether you're using Microsoft Project or AX. Unassigning a person from a task doesn't necessarily mean you want to release the person from there. So the way we are treating it, and I want to validate with you, is that we are returning the capacity back to the team. Now, you're free to go there and release all of them from the team. But just wanted to get your feedback on an interactive basis, if that makes sense.
Can you remove them from the project?
Yes, you can. So I can come here, select, let's say, project manager. I can delete them now. You don't see me being able to do that because it's a linked project. Let me unlink it. And link meaning there is an MPP associated with this project. Yes, it is unlinked successfully. And now I can go back and release any resource. Salesperson, I don't need any salesperson. I cancel the booking. So there are two options there, right? You cancel either the booking or you just remove the entire thing, which means remove the role and the reservations behind the scene that I have made for my project, basically. Any questions? Yes?
When you integrate with project, is there certain things you can't do? And is it two-way? It looks like you have projects open in the same place.
You can have Microsoft Project and AX Project open at the same place. However, the activity work breakdown structure in AX will be read-only. And you will see a very clear yellow bar that says, hey, an instance of this project is open in Microsoft Project. So then you have two options, either continue in Microsoft Project and publish back, or unlink if you don't want Microsoft Project anymore. Now, this kind of, it is very flexible model in a way that you choose which surface area, and if you don't want Microsoft Project, you just unlink it. And then you can basically go from there. What comes to Microsoft Project are activities, start date, end dates, project categories, and resources. The key stuff that basically will be synchronized between those two are the entities that we talked about. Questions?
If you wanted to modify somebody's booking so the project start to end date, you only want them for half the project, how would you do that in this one? Do you have to cancel the booking? And then
No, well, we will go through, let's go through that basically. Let's just find the resource, for example, here and look at their booking details. So you have this cancel booking right here. You can choose any period of time that you want and you cancel them. For example, I go here and I cancel you. So now you're completely available on those 2 days and your booking will be readjusted, right? You will see the start date and end date adjusted to reflect what you just did. I don't think the start date and end date must have changed because I changed it in between, but if it was impacting the start date and end date, you would have seen that. I think building on that, let's also look at some other stuff that we have here. So This is the assignment. Let's start with the one that I have some assignment, or I go to this one, and I choose this work will be 30 hours. And I want to, again, I'm a project manager. I'm trying to staff my project. All three of them I want to be equally distributed here. You see that all three on a day-to-day basis. The reservation table right now, we are writing on a day-to-day basis. So just to be clear, right now we are not writing time, start time and end time. And we have talked about with some of the partners that that's a requirement. I want a consultant from 8 to 10 a.m. every single week or every other week. We don't have that functionality right now. It's per day and the number of hours. You don't know which period of time you have. If as a project manager, now I realize that no, just although it doesn't usually happen, this is not going to take more than 10 days. You will see the work assignments are automatically adjusted to that new start date and end date, right? The moment you change the effort, it impacts your start and end date, and we are basically releasing the resources that have been booked on the project. Yes? So if I'm not mistaken, you're talking about subcontracting scenarios. Yeah. So today our subcontracting story is through a PO. So you cut a purchase order, you have a project category that basically is mapped to a service item in AX. So you're familiar with products, services, items. So you have a service item, it's mapped to a project category that reflects the cost and sales and all of the financial aspects of it. You cut a PO and you basically put that project category there. And all the, when you vendor invoices you, the cost will be reflected there, basically. That's our story for subcontracting. But that's one of the things that we had the focus room today to hear from you and understand the scenario a little bit better from you. And we can talk about that at the end of this session. But that's our story today. Yes?
What I'm thinking about was also that, external consulting, what plan on
Are you, how would you model that external consultant? Is it a named consultant, or it's a headcount that, for example, you call it consultants, or it's a headcount to be filled in the future? I just want to know, how do you see that in your business? Is it a to be filled consultant? Because you cannot count on their availability, if I'm not mistaken, always. Like you get them for a period of time. Is that, how would you guys? Okay. Okay.
I think it would be both. You have scenarios with named consultants that you have for a period of time, and then you have scenarios with a subcontracting company that might have a pool of 10 developers that you draw on when you need them.
Okay. 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 Questions? Yes.
Are the book hours visible in Microsoft Project?
Sorry, can you repeat your question? Which hours?
The book hours.
Yes. The booked hours are not visible in Microsoft Project. So basically, we are consuming those hours, or we are exceeding those hours in Microsoft Project, but it's not visible to you in Microsoft Project. Yeah. But when you publish it and come back to AX, you will see whether the number has been impacted. For example, if you have me booked for 40 hours, but you open the the project in Microsoft Project and booked me for 80 hours, you will see that number being reflected in the booked hours, basically. But when you are in Microsoft Project, no, you don't see that clearly. Yes? Yeah. Yep. Yep. Let me repeat the question for our audience. I think the question was, are these workers integrated with service management module? And I will expand the question to manufacturing module as well, because we have resources and scheduling resources there as well. The short answer is that unfortunately not. So in engineering to order scenarios, when the same people that are building something are going to go and install it, you need to have visibility. Unfortunately, right now, the reservation tables are completely separate. So in service module, you see the workers, but you don't see their availability. So the workers are there from HCM perspective, but you don't have visibility into their because you want to dispatch them, but you don't know if they're available or not. That's again another feature that we are right now is in our thoughts, and we are thinking about it quite a lot. Yes. Yes.
Does Microsoft Project garner workers' capacity?
I think it's a very that's almost a different variation of the question that you asked, which is, when I open the project in Microsoft Project, do we respect the booked hours? The short answer is no. We don't have a way of right now showing you that, oh, this resource was booked for this period of time or this amount of hours, but we don't constrain you. You can exceed or just use it as AX, but it's not visible to you. You don't know. The only thing you know is that that resource is in your project team because he or she will show up in the resource picker in Microsoft Project. Any other questions? But yes. Yes. So the moment you assign a resource to the project, either team or activity, we are automatically adding that resource to the project validation group. So those resources can go and report time and expense against the project. Yes.
So even if you did not ring fence those team members, but you go ahead and assign them into the task,
Right.
will it automatically add them to the group?
Yes, and let's look at that. That's a good scenario, basically. Sometimes we call it bottom-up staffing, but let's go through a scenario that I have a task, this task, and this task has about, let's say, I would give them 10 hours, so start date and date will be automatically calculated, and on purpose I will go and use other workers, not these same workers that are here. I will use Chen Yang, and Chen Yang is not in my team, right? I grab his time, and I use this opportunity to showcase the hour-based assignment as well, which we have one of our customers here. So basically, the hour-based assignment is that what if I want to specify a specific number of hours of a resource and assign them on this project? We do that in two different modes. The first mode is that use the availability or respect the availability of resource. If you need 10 hours of my time or of this resource's time, start from the first to the end date, book whatever available time I have and sum it up or add it up to that 10. The second one is no, equally distribute that. So I would respect that 10 hours availability of resource, and we booked Chen Yang on the project. So back to your question, we should technically see Chen Yang as a team member added to the team when we go back. And when I have Chen Yang as a team member. So the very last resource that we added, right? So you add them here you added them on the activity, and they showed up as a resource here as a team member. By default, we set it to team member because we didn't know which role you want to associate it to, which is a good question or good functionality to add in future, that the activities maybe should have roles as well. But that resource was added basically here. I want to ask a question, if possible. And the question I have is about how do you model pricing? So right now, if you look into our roles, there is no pricing associated with that. It is just simply a grouping for competencies like skills, certification, and education. But when you sell resources, right, something should drive that. How much do they cost to you? How much do you sell them to customers, right? A senior consultant cost me $100 an hour, and I sell that for $250. I think it would be a good discussion if we can have your input into how is that modeled in your organizations. Where do you associate the pricing with resources? Is it on each resource? Is it per role? Is it per category? It's per role. And how do you associate role with project categories then? You do. Okay, you create a relationship between them. And when you're selling these services at the contract, for example, lines, when you're selling them, what has been specified there is that the role, that I need 400 hours of a senior or category. So both, it could be any of them. Yes, you're using category for that. Okay.
I would think we'd want to see on there
Okay. 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 And the next question I have is about how important is that for you when you're planning a project, right, off of a template, to know how many people and what type of people you need. Let's say you have some pre-built templates, project work breakdown structures, right, and you start planning that project. Would it be useful if the system tells you for this type of project, typically you need 4 developers, 2 testers, 5 project managers, God forbid, but in case. Is it important for you? Okay. And how would you specify that on the activity? Is that a requirement on the activity, that which role I need? But you will need same role in multiple activities, right? So there could be some detailed discussions later about how. But that's an important scenario, it seems, from the audience. Okay.
Translate them to not on the activity only, but on the estimated cost and revenue. The cost and revenue lines underneath the activity.
Yes. So right now, if your question is that would they translate? I mean, when you have your work breakdown structure today, we are automatically populating. I think Tom showed that we are automatically populating our estimates for you. But
using a template.
Right.
Using the template to put the set of estimated revenues and costs formatted.
Yes. Yeah, it will be there actually, yes. So when you have a template with the effort hours, when you instantiate it, you will see that that number of hours for that category has been added there.
Which is only for resources, also for items.
Yeah, hours. So any transaction type that you can capture, it will be, I think it was in a couple of demos yesterday, but we can drill down into that. But yes, you can basically estimate it, you can save it in the template, and then when you create a project off of that template, you will see those estimates being generated for you. Then you can export them to forecast, or even, I think Tom showed, if I'm not mistaken, budgeting off of estimates on the activity yesterday. So that was one usage of it yesterday, that you created a budget, and then you, actually we can have a discussion after the session, so not to derail the discussion. Yes?
How to create a more financial forecast out of the resource?
It is possible to create forecasts off of the estimated lines that you have for activities. They are not tied to the resources that you assign. In other words, if I assign this resource to this task, if I go here, right now I had Armando Pinto, right? And if I go here, you can see that the estimation is automatically generated. I have 10 hours, and you will see for the project category of project management, I have 10 hours assigned here. But the resources are not consolidated there. So the same resource is not showing up there.
For the project in time, like to see if there are, let's say, 100 hours planned this week or this month, and what will be the financial result?
Can you repeat your question, sorry?
What will be the financial result of planned hours, estimated hours?
So like I said, if you do it here, the estimates are generated here, and you can export it into a forecast, and you can see the financial aspects of it there, or here, or if I understand your question properly. So if you come in the lines here, and you start creating our expense items that you need here, those are the estimates that you're generating here. They can come from the template, or you can manually add them here. And then you can import them into a forecast or into a budget, and you will see the financial aspects of it. And if I go, basically, I think we showed that here, you can see the cost tracking view and effort tracking view, right? So that's another view that can help you. Now, I'm not the expert on this functionality, but it kind of gives you, and Tom can speak to that, it kind of gives you what you originally estimated for your costs and how you're tracking against it. And also for effort. Did I answer your question? Yeah. Any other question? Yes.
So one of the slides said that one of the benefits of this is really looking at resource utilization. What's the future
good question. Thanks for reminding me, because that's another demo that we have. So I will open up those inquiries. I'm sorry? So the question was, where is that view or report or inquiry that shows me the resources, their utilization, and what they are doing on how many work they have been assigned to? And the answer is the inquiries that we have built. 3 different inquiries we have. The simplest one is this one, which simply shows you a list of workers, as you said, the legal entity that they belong to, the type of booking they have, the projects that have them booked, the name of the project, which activity they are working, who is their project manager. So it's kind of simple consumption of their capacity across multiple projects. Then we have another one, which is gives you the option to, I think, which was mostly your question, if I find this guy. Yes, so it shows you, again, workers. It shows you how many, which LE they are coming from, how many hours they have hard or soft or hard book, the capacity in hours, unscheduled hours, utilization percentage, soft and hard, and total utilization percentage. So which is all up, it shows you for all of your workers in your organization. The third one, actually, which is very new, and we built it in R3. The primary reason was that we introduced all of these new constructs and concepts like team, booking, assignment. We kind of created this new inquiry that shows you projects for this period of time. Now, my date is not very reasonable. Let me, although I don't have much, but I just make it more reasonable here. Still have same number of projects. So it shows you the list of projects, what type of projects they are, time and material, fixed bid cost projects, how many hours are being hard booked against that project, back to your question that you want to have that view. How many hours are basically soft book, hard book against that project? How many hours are basically unassigned? I mean, I don't have anybody assigned there. Out of that, you will see. So these two, this is completely booked against the project. This is assignments on that project. So right away, for example, I can see this consulting project has over 2,000 hours hard book with 0 hours assigned to activities. So that's could be an indication that something is not right there, right? And then these two, which is, hey, hard book and unassigned hard book hours are specific to this period of time. And it also shows you whether you have efforts on your work breakdown structures that need work. So if I see that I have 2,000 hours of capacity booked, I have 500 hours of work that needs people, again, that's another sign that why those people are not being assigned to specific activities on the project. So we have these 3 inquiries that 2 of them were before were in the product. This is the new one. By the way, you can then export it to Excel and do make the pivots that you want and slice and dice the information the way you want. Yes?
What's the difference between project hard book and hard book?
So yeah, all up, how many a hard book you have and how many you have against this specific project. So one is very specific to that start date and end date, because your start date and end date can say in this start date and end date how many hours have been hard booked. So you're looking at 1 week slice of the project. So the entire project has 2,000 hours booked. But on that specific day, that date range, how many hours have been booked? How many hours is unassigned, and things like that. So it's very specific to the start date and end date that you have.
I think she's asking for resource geography.
Yes, so that was the first one. Okay. Let me go back here. That's what we have, basically. But it is very simple, basically. It doesn't show you booked hours versus assigned hours. It's mostly just hard and soft book hours against different projects. So we don't have that.
It doesn't have utilization.
This one doesn't have. The next one actually has that. So if I, yes, so if I go to, actually it's worker-based, the next one. You can see per worker, you can see the utilization, all of utilization, and basically hard book utilization versus soft book utilizations. Yeah. One thing we don't have is the utilization KPIs. that the resource manager is being basically measured against. We don't have that right now. But that's one of the other features that we are looking at right now. So let me just have a quick time check. Questions? Yes?
So in some regions, we have like American region where we actually have a resource pool where all of those backend subsidiaries or LEs can actually get into America's pool of resource. How do you make a particular legal entity like Canada or US be able to get into this resource pool?
So,
Do you have to manually manage them individually?
yeah, so actually the process is called intercompany transactions, that you go in the loaning LE, in the general ledger, and identify the borrowing LEs. So you first specify the LEs that can borrow resources from you.
Well, I meant is the reservation portion. How do I, as a resource manager for US, dip into this pool of resources?
Oh, that is,
Reservation part,
yes.
right, to,
So today, the model is that through these LEs that have been showed here. So as a resource manager, I can see people in my resource pool and the people that have been lent to me. So if you look into SFRA, you are basically looking into people that are coming from other LEs and have been lent to you. So, and that is through the intercompany relationship that I was talking about.
I have to manually add those legal entities to my pool.
No, it will come automatically. So somebody has done that administrative work for you, because it is more than just resources, right? It's invoicing. It is timesheet that you need to go and report time against another LE. It's expenses that you need to do. So that is think about it as the core requirements that should be satisfied first. Identify the loaning and borrowing LE. And then there is a flag that says now enable intercompany transactions for timesheet and resource scheduling and intercompany invoicing, which I think Adele went through. But then you see the results of it by seeing people that are coming to your LE, have been shown for your LE. Yes?
The worker search criteria, is it possible to create a template that cite skills and project experience or whatever other things?
We don't have it out of the box. That's a very good question, which is, do you have a template to be able to templatize the criteria, search criteria? We don't have it out of the box. We have templates for work breakdown structures. And in work breakdown structures, you can identify the competencies on activity level, if that helps.
No, I'm thinking when you are planning your resources for a project, it would be a lot easier to call on a template.
Yes.
Much easier,
Yeah. Role is doing that, yes. So roles that we showed here, which we said data is actually doing the same thing. So if I go to this project, I go start here. You remember we had these roles? So each one of these roles come with some, you can define the requirements that you have. For example, for this guy, I can go here and define skills that I need, education that I need, and then every time you add them to your team, it's like a template you're using. And on the work breakdown structure, it is the resource requirement that you can templatize, basically. So that's if you're talking about that. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you. Thank you.